Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Please forgive me to stop you from the ecstatic chanting. Today's quote on chanting is taken from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 4.125. Although Madhavendra Puri was not interested in eating and sleeping, his interest in chanting the Mahamantra was so acute, as if he were an aspiring transcendentalist rather than a Paramhans. This means that even in the Paramhans stage, one cannot give up chanting. Haridas Thakur and the Goswamis were all engaged in chanting a fixed number of rounds. Therefore, chanting on beads is very important for everyone, even though one may become a Paramhans. This chanting can be executed anywhere, either inside or outside the temple. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. I am Pooja from Sydney. May I know who have joined today?
Hare Krishna Puja Mataji, my Dharat Pranam to you and all the devotees on the call. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida. And thank you so much for the wonderful quote on chanting.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunjara Sadas from Clementon, Maryland.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, Puja Mataji, and all the assembled devotees, and the Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shamarasi Kanidasi from Jamanta.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining. Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees. Today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Prema Padmini Mataji from Bangalore, and today Mataji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, verse 32 onward. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please take over the call whenever you are ready.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayi Nashtaprayeshu Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Adhyanatamrandasya Dhyanjanashalakya Chakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurvema Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shamate Jayapataka Swamani Namne Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Pradayani Gurukatha Damdayana Damtar Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharne Nirvisesh Sunuvadi Paschati Deshtarne Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Text 32, in the matter of Hiranyakashipu, king of the demons. Rudatya Uchair Daitankri Pankajam Sinchantya Ashray Kuchakunkumarunai Visrasta Kesha Bharanam Suchamdrinam Srijantya Akhandanaya Vilepire. As the queen, word to word. Rudatya, crying, Uchaihi, very loudly, Daita, of their beloved husband, Angri Pankajam, the lotus feet, Sinchantya, moistening, Ashray, with tears, Pucha Kunkuma Arunai, which were red from the kunkuma covering their breasts, Vishrasta, scattered, Kesha, hair, Abharana, and ornaments, Sucham, grief, and Rinam of the people in general, Srijantya, creating, Akrandanaya, by crying very pitiably, Vilepire, began to lament. Translation: as the queens loudly cried, their tears glided down their breasts, becoming reddened by the kunkuma powder, and fell upon the lotus feet of their husband. Their hair became disarrayed, their ornaments fell, and in a way that evoked sympathy from the hearts of others, the queens began lamenting their husband's death. Aho vidatra karunena na prabhu bhavan pranito drig agocharam dasham usinaranam asivritti pura krito adhuna yena shucham vivardana. O Lord, you have not been removed by cruel providence to a state beyond our sight. You had previously sustained the livelihood of the inhabitants of Ushinara, and thus they were happy. But your condition now is the cause of their unhappiness. Vaya kritagnena vayam mahipate katam vinashyama suhritame te tatranuyanam tava veerapadayo shushrusatinam dishayatra yasyasi. O king, O hero, you were a very grateful husband and the most sincere friend of all of us. How shall we exist without you? O hero, wherever you're going, please direct us there so that we may follow in your footsteps and engage again in your service. Let us go along with you. Purport. Formerly, a Kshatriya king was generally the husband of many wives. And after the death of the king, especially in the battlefield, all the queens would agree to accept Sahamarana, dying with the husband who was their life. When Pandu Maharaj, the father of the Pandavas, died, his two wives, namely the mother of Yudhishthira, Bhima, and Arjuna, and the mother of Nakula and Sahadeva, were both ready to die in the fire with their husband. Later, after compromise was arranged, Kunti stayed alive to take care for the little children, and the other wife, Madri, was allowed to die with her husband. This system of Sahamarana continued in India even until the time of the British rule, but later it was discouraged since the attitude of wives gradually changed with the advancement of Kali Yuga. Thus, the system of Sahamarana was practically being abolished. Nonetheless, within the past 50 years, I've seen the wife of a medical practitioner voluntarily accept death immediately when her husband died. Both the husband and wife are taken in procession in the mourning cart. Such intense love of a chaste wife for her husband is a special case. Om Jnanatimrindasya Gyan Jana Shalakya Chakshurun Milita Mena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Okay. So, Om. Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll also have one more verse, text 35. Evam vilapitana vilapi vilapatinam vai parigृह्य mritam patim anichatani an anicchatinam nirharam arkostam sanya vartata. The time was appropriate for body to be burned, but the queens, not allowing it to be taken away, continued lamenting for the dead body which they kept on their laps. In the meantime, the sun completed its movements for setting in the west. According to the Vedic system, if a person dies during the daytime, it's customary for his funeral ceremony to be performed before the sun sets, regardless of whether he is burned or buried. And if he dies at night, the funeral must be completed before the next sunrise. Apparently, the queens continued lamenting for the dead body, the lump of matter, and would not allow it to be taken away for burning. This illustrates the strong grip of illusion among foolish persons who consider the body the self. Women are generally considered less intelligent. Because of ignorance only, the queens thought of the dead body as their husband, and somehow or other thought that if the body were kept, the husband would remain with them. Such a conception of the self is certainly for Gokara, cows and asses. We've actually seen that sometimes when a cow's calf has died, the milkman cheats the cow by presenting before her the dead body of a calf. Thus, the cow, who would not otherwise allow milking, licks the dead body of the calf and allows herself to be milked. This substantiates the description of the Shastra that a foolish man in the bodily concept of life is like a cow. Not only do foolish men and women consider the body the self, but we've even seen that the dead body of a so-called yogi was kept for days by his disciples who thought that their guru was in samadhi. When decomposition began and a bad smell unfortunately began to overwhelm the yogic power, the disciples allowed the dead body of the so-called yogi to be burnt. Thus, the bodily concept of life is extremely strong among foolish persons who are compared to cows and asses. Nowadays, great scientists are trying to freeze dead bodies so that in the future these frozen bodies may again be brought to life. The incident narrated by Hiranyakashipu from history must have taken place millions of years ago because Hiranyakashipu lived millions of years ago and was even then quoting from history. Thus, the incident occurred before Hiranyakashipu's lifetime, but the same ignorance in the bodily concept of life is still prevalent, not only among laymen, but even among scientists who think that they will be able to revive frozen corpses. Apparently, the queens did not want to deliver the dead body for burning because they were afraid of dying with the dead body of their husband. So this is, we are seeing how Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha, after being killed by Varahadev, and then the queens, his queens are all lamenting for him. So we can see that on the one hand, they were aware that he is the soul, because he's saying that, oh Lord, you've now been removed by cruel providence to a state beyond our sight. Oh no, okay, first they were crying loudly and evoking sympathy from the hearts of others. And so they knew that he is eternal because, and they were also ready to die along with him. You had previously sustained the livelihood of the inhabitants of Ushinara, and thus they were happy. But your condition now is the cause of their unhappiness. Actually, where from the modern perspective, it seems ridiculous. Why should someone give up their lives? Because somebody, it seems unfair. Why should these wives think of giving up their lives and so on? But because it's because of spiritual insight. See, when you see from the other perspective, from the spiritual perspective, and they had so much intense attachment. It's not possible to be so much attached on the bodily platform. Nowadays, people don't have such deep attachments. First of all, one full life only, they're not able to stay together. Forget about afterlife and all that. They don't even believe in that. Why? Because attachment is so less. Because it's not on the spiritual platform. It's only physical attraction or mental attraction. And here, on the other hand, they are, even though he's a demon, and they're also demons, but demons also in those days, they were very spiritually elevated. That is, they knew that they're not the body, they're the soul. They had all these knowledge. They were qualified materially in many ways. They also knew the Shastras and so on to some extent. Except devotion, the only thing, because these demons, they were always, especially people like Hiranyaksha and all, always thinking of the Lord. So they are very, very elevated. Only thing is not with love, but out of hatred and envy. So they had great self-control over their bodies because they did great tapasya, right? For years, all severe tapasya Hiranyakashipu did. So they had those kind of many people, they had yogic powers. So all that was there. And so these ladies, they have, oh hero, wherever you're going, please direct us there so that we may follow in your footsteps and again engage again in your service. Let us go along with you. From a spiritual standpoint, okay, we see that, first of all, they are aware that it doesn't mean that once he leaves his body, that's it, oh, we can't see him, so he's gone. They know that his soul is transferred to another place. And because the attachment is very strong spiritually, not fully spiritual, that can only be for Krishna, mental and spiritually also. So they want to follow him in another body also in the next life. So it is with that knowledge. We cannot do, Kali Yuga, it is banned because in Kali Yuga, nobody has such spiritual knowledge, nobody has such spiritual attachment. But still, some people used to push, like during the British time, they were still, some of them voluntarily did that. But most of the time, what happened, they would, the other relatives would forcibly push the wives, go, you also go and die in the fire. So that was very cruel and that had to be stopped. So this is because, Prabhupada explained elsewhere that why did they agree to burn in the fire? Because the fire of separation was more intense than the fire of burning. The body burning in the fire was nothing compared to the torment they felt mentally because of the separation. So that is why it was allowed. And this was because of a higher understanding. They were realized that, actually, because Krishna has given that possibility, somebody is very attached, then it says, for 7 lifetimes, they can be husband and wife. Maybe, the roles might change once because, for a woman to serve a husband like that, like the representative of God, is very good because a consciousness is getting, advanced very easily just by loving and serving. They're developing actually great self-control, great spiritual advancement, selflessness. That is the only thing for women. They don't need to do any physical tapasya and all that. You don't have to go to the forest and do Ashtanga Yoga or read up, take sannyas and study all the Vedic Shastras and all that. You don't need to do all that because ultimately, what is the thing? One has to control one's mind and be able to serve Krishna, give up one's false ego, right? If you see by that, this is a great facility for ladies because in order to serve a husband, whatever he says, then your false ego has to be controlled. To, in fact, women, so many sacrifices they make, which is unnoticed and taken for granted, but which is like a tapasya for the women, because for spiritual progress only. Everything is for spiritual progress. So first of all, they are expected to leave the family of their birth and go to their husband's house. That itself is like a, of course they can visit them and all that once in a, it's not that they're cut off forever, but still they cannot be the same way, you know, cherished. The way they are the same, um, they are cherished and taken care of and, like that. On the other hand, when they go to their husband's place, they may be cherished and all that, but they're expected to do all services there. So it's a totally different situation. From being pampered, you go there and you become a servant of everyone, the husband, and then all the in-laws. So you see what a sudden change it is. And there in your house, in your own house, you don't need to do anything. In fact, hardly you're not responsible. And there you go, and all responsibilities upon you. You have to, take care of so many things. And you're like that, you have to suddenly, you cannot just be frivolous and all that. So it's a big tapasya. And that is to be, completely uprooted from your whatever you think is your own and you're enjoying yourself, all the connection with your siblings, parents first, and then the siblings and all your friends and relatives, and whatever you enjoyed there, everything a woman has to give up and go and stay in the husband's house. So that is a great sacrifice. And after that, all the other things, it comes, and even motherhood, lot of tapasya, isn't it? Just bearing the child and then taking care of the child 24/7, making them grow up, and so much of selflessness, so much of time, so much of meditation, so much of service. The whole family depends upon the wife's services and care, emotional support. So she's learning how to become selfless. This is all for spiritual upliftment, and also to be with the husband for in doing all religious activities. And in in her house, she's used to having her way. The parent might, oh, this is her favorite dish, we'll make her, she likes this, so we'll take her here. All those things have gone. She has to be, okay, husband may be kind and also ask what you want and all that, but that is not yeah, the husband also has to do that. But then she cannot have those I mean, if she is expecting all these things and she doesn't get, then what will she do? There's nobody there for her, only the husband. Only the husband is her intimate friend, and other people, slowly she wins them over, but still it takes some time. And if the husband himself is not very, whatever he is, he may not be caring and all that. But those days, because of their spiritual advancement, the husbands were also caring, and they followed some shastras, some rules. They knew this is how you should behave. So there was culture there. And so she made that as a home. So a lot of difficulties a woman goes through, but we must not see it as a curse. Physically also, mentally, emotionally, lot of pressure on the woman. Nobody is talking about that, right? A woman knows and other women know each other's, but mostly, they don't, because everybody's got their own services to do, they are sort of in their own family setup. And that's why it is mentioned that women also should have female friends and all that, to sort of, because they need some kind of a safety valve to talk and all that. That keeps them balanced. It is a lot of sacrifice, it as it was in those Vedic times. Why? Because it is meant for spiritual purification of the desire to be selfish, self-centered, and all the time, yeah, for sense gratification. And from there, when you start serving like that, it a great this thing advancement. And on top of that, if the husband is not exactly he's what every girl dreams of, and very very kind, and whatever appreciative, and also like that, and but whatever he is, she has to serve. And that is the tapasya. We may think, oh, women have a cool time, they're staying at home. All the purification, all the tapasyas are all internal. That is why women, they're very emotional also, and most of the tapasya is emotional. Physically, they're not expected to take too much physical austerities. It's not possible, very delicate. But in that setup, emotionally, because first of all, false ego. That is the first thing that which a woman has to remove. And she learns that by, imagine, if you have to be serving somebody according to what they want, everything you have to ask is permission. and then only you have to do everything, you're dependent on him, then how much false ego gets a drubbing, isn't it? They don't have to do any other tapasya. Just getting married is enough. So that is how it is. And here also, ultimately, and because they're so dependent, now in today's world, people don't want that. Why I should be dependent on someone? I work, I have my own income, and I'm economically self-sufficient. I don't need to listen everything he says. I have my own views also, ideas, and I also have my own hobbies. So this is the trend now, because those days the men were also trained to be worthy. They are not like totally louds and sense gratification, drunkards, smoking, womanizing. They will be all nasty, everything. Women, for some time, that is how it was projected. If you see in this 50s, 60s, 70s cinema, Hindi cinema, this is what the intermediary stage from the Vedic thing of both wife and husband following Vedic rituals, having some spiritual, standards and enlightenment, and so treating each other with respect. From there, the degradation happened when material contamination went, and both wanted only sense gratification. But women, the thing is, men, because they had to work outside, and then the association of all these British westernization set in. So the men were getting corrupted fast. Whereas women, because they were still not being sent out to study and do other things, they were protected from all these outside influences. So for some time, what happened? Women were very good and pure, and men were abusing them because they were getting contaminated. Now, women say, we'll also get contaminated. It is also our right to get contaminated. So we will also do. And then why you only are contaminated? You are only enjoying. Why we are not enjoying? So we'll also enjoy. So that's why nobody is happy now. And that is why there is hardly any attachment. Forget about living together life after life, after one life also following. Not when marriages don't last more than 2 months or 1 year even among youngsters. I mean, this is becoming a common trend now because they're not brought up, no spiritual this thing at all. And girls also, parents think, most of the parents, girls are also being educated. They are also earning money. So why we should make them, give them, tell them that you have to sacrifice, you have to follow your husband. No, they don't get such advice even. And even if they are advised like that, they will not listen because they've got all other, now society is thinking that they're protecting the woman, but they should also, I mean, that's not the only way to protect, because because of which the whole families suffer. There is no family life only. They don't even, when women don't want to have children also, because it's a big burden. Yeah, who will take care, and what happens to my career, and why I'll be just sitting at home and taking care of the children. So they don't want children also. And then they are always working, men are always working. There's and so much of false ego those days, because women were trained to be submissive and very adjusting. So even if the man was a little, what to do, if if he was something, and then women, because of her chastity and her devotion, I mean her goodness, then he could be brought around and all that. So this was what most of the Hindi movies, at that juncture, those few decades where the men were slowly getting degraded, but women were still pure. This was the story imparted. How the woman, because of her chastity, she could turn around or change the husband like this. But now there is no such things. Nobody is spiritual. So we have to, that's why Krishna consciousness is very much required, both in, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave Hare Krishna mantra to both. He purposely took it from the Puranas, which everybody can read. They cannot say, oh, Vedas, women cannot say, and all these things. No. Hare Krishna mantra, he gave it to women also, men also, to all the castes. There is no distinction at all. Everybody can chant. He made even animals chant for that matter, to show that this is, it's a call to the soul. Forget about all these slow progress of, the body, every body having some duties, and through that slowly advancing and all that. Varnashrama Dharma, that is very difficult. No, Varnashrama Dharma is happening. Who's following what? But if everybody by chanting Hare Krishna, then they come to the platform of self-realization and God realization, then automatically they'll develop all good qualities and be very nice. Then you can hope for some nice family life. Only if nowadays, only if the husband and wife both are Krishna conscious and enlightened, spiritually progressive, and they have a goal of to achieve success in this life itself for complete Krishna consciousness, then and they are able to control their modes and not, and then they have some seniors who are guiding them, then you can hope that, okay, marriage will survive. But here you see, because of their advance, even though they're not even devotees, they're asuras. And they're talking about, following him after death, wherever you're going. And they, first of all, they're sharing one husband, so many wives. See, now in today's world, of course, it's not even allowed. Bigamy is not allowed. But those days, one Kshatriya king had so many wives. That is another thing. So where is the question of having any false ego? There were no false ego. I'm also one of the queens, that's all. So that is how so much purification. And they're glorifying him. O king, O hero, you were a very grateful husband and the most sincere friend of all of us. How shall we exist without you? O hero, wherever you're going, please direct us there so that we may follow in your footsteps and engage again in your service. Let us go along with you. So why has Krishna given these kind of rules, for how the wife should serve the husband and all these things? Because it is a training of how we should serve him, Krishna. And because here now we have come here to dominate and enjoy, so he has kept human relationships based on this, somebody being, somebody being a representative of him for another person, and the subordinate or junior should serve the other person. It is actually a training for, if you don't see Krishna consciousness in this setup, you'll think it's very, very, what is this? This is not fair and all that. That's how, if you see it without Krishna, then you'll think it's very unreasonable. What is this? Only the wife should, and that too, there's so many of 4 wives, they're all serving him. They're serving him like God, and they were completely dependent on him. But what is all that? It is to purify the consciousness. And for a woman, then, because woman means greater material attachment. That's the main thing. Because they are inclined towards, they like this family relationships, social events, and everything around the family. So, and so that is actually a desire to dominate and enjoy oneself. One thinks, I'm the center of this universe. Everything around me belongs to me, and I have a right to enjoy it. This is the feeling that is in ignorance. And to come out of that, if one develops a service attitude, then one makes good progress. Actually, we are supposed to serve only Krishna. but at least you start serving. That's why the husband is considered to be a representative of God. And suppose he is not like a representative of God. He's an asura, in fact. But still, because the women are practicing, the wives, they are practicing how to serve him selflessly, they will get advanced. And in the Vedic scriptures, it's mentioned that a wife who serves her husband very nicely, even if he may not be a devotee or anything, but because she is doing her dharma, she will go to the heavenly planets. Suppose he was a devotee, then of course she'll get liberated, go back to the spiritual world. So that is what is, the purpose behind all these things. Even why did the caste system come? It is not, first of all, it's not by birth, and it's also not permanent. You can, in this life only, you can shift your caste. It's by quality and inclination to work. It is only because everyone has to make spiritual progress, and different people following different professions have different levels of spiritual progress. So all of them had to be dealt with in a different way. So they all have different set of rules to be followed. That is the only reason why Krishna divided it like that. Like, for example, after the Kauravas and the Pandavas, they were trained by Dronacharya, and they were asked to come and display whatever they learnt in front of all the kings, Bhishma Dev, Dhritarashtra, and all the public. So at that time, after they did all the physical warfare, they showed their skill in all the weapons and all that. Then they were also tested on their wisdom, because they were to be future kings. So Yudhishthira and Duryodhana were tested, who will answer properly. So they were asked the question that if a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, okay, all of them committed the same crime, then how will you punish them? What punishment will you give them? So Duryodhana said, what? It should be equal. Why should you discriminate on the basis of their caste? If they all did the same mistake, all of them should be equally punished. Okay, that is the so then they asked Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj said that no, because all of them have got different levels of consciousness, the punishment will be likewise different. The Shudra, because he doesn't have much spiritual knowledge and he commits a sin, then he has the least punishment. Just like even in the courts, if somebody is crazy or something, or a psychological problem, and he considers even murder, then this thing is least for him, punishment, because he was not in his proper uh, state of mind. And here, a Shudra has no knowledge, higher knowledge at all. And so he's only after sense gratification. So he, out of ignorance, he does some same crime, for example, then he has the least punishment. And like a Vaishya, he'll get a little more severe than the Shudra. Kshatriya, more than the Vaishya, because he has much more knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and he has more sense control and all that. In spite of all that, if he does the same crime, his will be most. And the maximum is for the Brahmana, because he has nice spiritual knowledge. And in spite of that, if he commits that same thing, which a person in ignorance would do, then naturally his punishment will be most. And so then he was the one, they said, yes, very good. Whatever Yudhishthira said is the correct thing. So that is the only reason why this Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha, why they are all divided? Only because of this. They have got a different set of rules to follow, and everything, they'll be judged in a different way. Um, you know, uh, so And for a woman also, her dharma, um, probably because she is delegate externally, outside world. Because in the Varnashrama system, there is not many options for job. Either you're a Brahmana in the temple, or you are a Kshatriya fighting wars, or administrative wars and or policing and all that requires a lot of physical strength and endurance. And Vaishya, again, business, you have to trade and all that, deal with so many, it's quite a challenge that way. And Shudra means doing physical labor. So woman was protected from all these things. And instead, she was considered to be the Lakshmi, or the center of the home. Everything in the home revolved around her, because she could do everything, because she had that, the cultural aspects, the social, all these finer things, arts and fine arts, and cooking, and then socializing, taking care of people, that caring, loving, nurturing, all that came naturally. So this was why it was divided like that, and whatever came naturally, so that the purpose is not to show that I can also do it. Okay, it's not that women are less intelligent here. When Prabhupada keeps saying that, it is not that they are less intelligent in terms of understanding material knowledge, or be able to perform things in the material world. No, less intelligent in the sense of that being, considering the body to be oneself. Now, that is another thing, that they were not given spiritual knowledge at all. Whatever little bit they were taught in the at homes is all rituals and all practical things like cooking and cleaning and doing all these things at home and worshipping rituals. They were not given any spiritual knowledge. So we can see that nowadays women are given spiritual knowledge, and they're understanding it, and they're being very, very serious in spiritual life. So many women are very serious. They're progressing. That is another part. Or maybe because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then he made women also chant Hare Krishna mantra. And that's why they're progressing very well. Whatever may be the reason, but this was Varnashrama. And so this is how everybody did according to whatever came easily. But the real reason behind doing all this work is not to prove oneself, or, a show off or anything like that. It is simply to make spiritual progress. We do everything to satisfy the Paramatma in our heart. And at the end of life, we're supposed to give up this material world and go back to Godhead. That's the purpose of life. And everyone knew that. That was taught to everyone. So we find that these women, even though, okay, they were not so much educated in spiritual life, that they were very materially attached to this thing. So much so that they wouldn't allow him to be taken even for this thing. And then Yamaraj had to come in the form of a young boy and give them some, mm, nice advice and all that, in the form of a story or whatever. He did that. But still, they were, making progress by service. And that's why service is the most important aspect that we need to cultivate, which will make us advance. Nowadays, hardly anybody likes to do service. Everyone wants to simply enjoy. And we want to keep all machines for everything. So everything automatic. And this is most true in America, right? There's nobody to do any labor. Everything you have to do yourself. All machines are there. You get up, even when you go to petrol pump, you have to get down and you have to fill your own this thing. Whereas we have the luxury in India so far, mm, we don't have to, everything you don't have to get up and do yourself. Because there are, you know, different people are inclined to do different work. And the most important thing is, through that work, you are supposed to progress in your spiritual consciousness. And service is very good. It's very personal, right? Wherever you go, if there is somebody helping you and talking to you, and so then it makes you feel very personal. Everything just machines and impersonal, nobody serving anybody. I will not serve you. And even okay, the directions, everything, on the street, this thing, everything is marked very nicely, so you don't need to ask anybody anything. Just follow it, and then you'll go to your destination. But where is human touch? Nobody is, everybody will get angry if you would simply waste their time asking, can you tell me how to go here, what to do? Isn't it? You see the direction yourself and go, right? So it becomes very impersonal. But so there is no service mindedness, complete sense gratificatory situation. But on the other hand, when there are human beings, everybody has got a duty in order to serve others. Husband also has to, he's got a lot of rules. Now, here it's only I'm talking about these women. But if you see in the Vedic, this thing, even in the marriage and all, what the husband is supposed to do for the wife, he also has a lot many things to care for her, to be concerned about her, to respect her, and to take her along with him when he's going on pilgrimages, and to consult with her about major decisions, financial and other, like that. There are so many rules for the husband also. So, and so now we were with, this women, how they were, everything is geared towards spiritual advancement. And even now in this situation, what happens? Then Yamaraj comes and gives them spiritual gyan, and then they come out of it. So all the experiences in material life are simply to elevate us to greater spiritual awareness and consciousness. Because the ultimate purpose of life is that we have to again understand that I'm part and parcel of Krishna and go back to him. That is the only purpose of life. When we don't know that purpose, we are in total ignorance and we think material life is everything. And we make our own rules and regulations based on our own, limited perception of life. That's why in today's world, all the rules that they make is not at all matching with what we read in the Bhagvatam, because they don't have any ultimate goal in mind at all. And here we see everything is dependent on that ultimate goal. How you see life itself is based on a spiritual perspective. And so in all our activities, devotees, not that only when I'm chanting, I chanted my 16 rounds and I'm following 4 regulative principles. Beyond that, I'm also a karmi. I also think materially. No, that is very rock bottom thing. But by chanting and doing all this, we will progress. But we can make it faster by applying these principles in our day-to-day life, so that we can understand quicker that, I'm not this body, I'm the soul, and I have my purpose for being born itself is simply so that in this life I can elevate myself and not take another birth. Or even if I have to take another birth, it is progressive, which will help me to further progress and doesn't degrade me into lower species or lower births. So that is the consciousness we must be always aware of. And for that, we have to always remember Krishna in all the activities. Krishna says, Mam amnusmara yudhyacha. Thinking of me, do all your activities. And in Arjuna's case, of course, fight. So we are supposed to remember Krishna. And why we forget him when we are doing activities is because we are doing the activities for our own sense gratification. So that's why we forget Krishna. And on the other hand, why does it say that do it as an offering unto me for his satisfaction? Then you'll naturally think about him, isn't it? Oh, I'm doing this for Krishna. So naturally we will connect all the work with him. But if we are doing it for ourselves, we'll naturally forget Krishna and we'll think about ourselves. So that is why this whole process of Bhakti Yoga is very powerful method to, elevate our consciousness. And here, it's more not based even on Varnashrama and all that, though we also follow that as much as possible, devotees, but more on in a higher platform, which is I'm Das and Udas and Udas. We are equal to everybody we respect, everybody we want to serve from a spiritual perspective. So that is even on a higher platform. And by doing that, we'll make rapid spiritual progress. And that is where we can really be happy. As long as we have some material identity, some attachment, some desire for sense gratification, always will be tormented with either losing it or desiring too much of it, not being satisfied how much ever we enjoy, and then having all envy, lust, greed, pride, madness, all these subsets or byproducts of being due to material attachment again and again. And how many births we've been through in different types of bodies and situations and identities. And now we have to be very, very determined. I want only one identity, which is Das Anudas Anudas. And then if more people are working like that, doing even their ordinary jobs, but in a mode of service to God. Service is first only to Krishna. And because we are serving Krishna, automatically we will also have a very nice attitude towards everybody, because everybody is part of Krishna. So we'll see them as such. We'll see them as souls and not their bodies. And that will make us respect everyone, which is very essential if we want to make spiritual progress and go back to God. Our attitude towards others is very much important. If you think that, okay, I don't want people and all that, I'll just sit, like yogis, I'll meditate. So I'll chant, I'll just do my duties, I'll take care of the deities, prasadam, read books. Then that's enough for me. Devotees, then my mind gets disturbed. Why does it get disturbed? Because of false ego. The minute we desire to serve Krishna and everyone as part and parcels of him, then we'll become tolerant. Okay, you say whatever you want, it doesn't matter. I'm going to serve because I want to go back to God. Just like it is mentioned, even if the husband is not very nice, still the wife serves, it's for her advantage, because that is the method, that is the Shastra saying that a wife has to serve the husband. You serve, if he's nice, very well and good. Materially also you have nice time, but if he's not that, a person who understands the real value of life, that I have to go back to God, will think that, okay, Krishna is giving like this to me so that I become detached and I can concentrate on my spiritual advancement. So this is the transition which has to come when one is not disturbed by sense gratification, and one is thinking instead of Krishna consciousness. And Krishna keeps helping us step by step. So we'll never be disturbed by anything, because we'll know that, and because I've surrendered to Krishna, I'm chanting, doing all my devotional activities. Krishna is always there with me and trying to help me to progress. So that will help us to surrender more and more to Krishna and depend only on his judgment. Whatever, I know that you are my best well-wishing friend, and okay, do whatever you want. I will think about you. So the more we think of him, then we will not be disturbed by all these thoughts. Oh, what if this happens? Oh, what if I don't get what I want? Or what will society say? No, Krishna is there. Let him do whatever. I'll do my duty. I'll think of him. That's it. And of course, the mind will not let us think like that. Mind will demand. And that's why we have the Hare Krishna mantra. And we have to listen to the Hare Krishna mantra and not to the mind, knowing that mind is Maya. mind is simply controlled by illusion, by Maya Devi. You have to recognize that, okay, I'm going to take shelter of Krishna only in his holy names. And we pray to the Panchatattva, help me, please overcome all my material attachments. Because actually, everybody's got the same enemy, everybody's got the same friend. All of us have got the same friend, Paramatma. That's the only friend for all of us, real friend who can do anything for us, who has always been with us, who loves us uh, unconditionally. That is Paramatma, best friend. And we all have only one enemy, and that is our uncontrolled mind. So that is all we have to work on. Surrendering to Krishna and leaving the mind, the enemy. We fight the enemy with this by taking shelter of our true benefactor who is so powerful. He can deal with our mind. So in this way, then, we can really, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that there will be a golden age when people chant nicely and are able to control their minds and are, really leading a life in the mode of goodness, in God consciousness. Automatically, all auspicious things will happen. Automatically, because the Paramatma is there. He knows what we are doing. Automatically, everything he will arrange for us. Prabhupada keeps saying that you just work on cleaning your heart, everything else Krishna will arrange. We meditate on him and he is meditating on us. That's a very good deal, because meditating on Krishna is so wonderful. I don't know, but I'm not worthy of that, but Krishna is still meditating on me because I'm meditating on him. He's reciprocating and taking care of me. So that is the only thing we should concentrate on. Everything else we do as a matter of duty without forgetting Krishna. Okay, I stop now. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the class. Here, maybe I will try to ask a bit straight, but because I don't know how else I can ask. Uh, because whenever we hear this, varnashrama system and, gender topics, in Krishna conscious discussions, most likely it appears like, a theoretical uh, thing, which has a realistically speaking, like you are mentioning that, like, uh, there is no varnashrama system as on today. It's only caste system, and governments use to their advantage. Like, to there is a lot of discrimination happening. Uh, in the sense, like, more than what I see in people, I see the discrimination from the governments. Saying that because these are from this particular caste, I will be giving more privileges, more facilities, the rules against forward caste. And the same thing I see with gender too. The women tag, you know uh, they use the women tag saying that they are suppressed, so they should be given more facilities, they should be given more reservation, you know and the same, these rules are used against men. So in this way I am seeing clear discrimination. uh, and Society wise, as an individual human being, if I just focus on Krishna and doing Krishna consciousness, that's simple path. But when you bring up these things, like, we need to follow the varnashrama system, and you are mentioning about wife should serve husband, hearing is okay, but nobody, realistically speaking, at the core of their heart is really a dasanadas. Nobody will think that, oh, my job is to serve man. That's unfair too. uh, uh, So like I couldn't make the big connection. What is that one thing that you want us to take away when we are hearing all these things? Because for me, it looks a lot easier when I just focus on Krishna, and whoever person I am seeing, I will just see the, like try to, like just as a fellow human being, and then uh, you know just like how I would feel bad if I not behave properly, whoever is the other person, so we would try to be nice with them. So what is that we will be taking from all these things? Because realistically
See,
there is no varnashram or anything, and
no, that is why Prabhupada never established Varnashrama in the beginning, because it's impossible.
hmm,
We cannot follow all those rules. He didn't impose them at all. He said you first become Krishna conscious. That Krishna consciousness will purify our mind, then we will think of doing all those sort of considerations and following the rules and doing selfless thing as a service, tolerance, all that comes as a byproduct of our devotional service. So right now, yes, that's why Prabhupada never talked about Varnashrama much. Okay, in the purports he mentioned like that, but he never said to us that now you should do more of Varnashram, you should follow this. He hardly talked about all that. He was only talking about Krishna consciousness and doing everything to satisfy Krishna.
hmm,
The thing is, because we are so fallen right now, we have to first be elevated to some extent. We are not qualified to follow Varnashrama and all that. We have really fallen down very badly. So Krishna consciousness is our this thing which will elevate our consciousness, and then later, though we keep trying, okay, because of our, we should not, we should try to improve our consciousness by thinking spiritually about people and all that. Then gradually we'll be able to follow also, and to whatever extent possible. Though Krishna consciousness is higher than Varnashrama. If you see everyone, if your family members are spirit souls and part and parcel of Krishna, they're all parts of Krishna and all that, they're servants of Krishna, and I'm helping them to become devotees. That's on a higher platform. So you don't have to follow Varnashrama, which is for beginners. But even devotees who are not yet very advanced, Varnashrama helps, right? Even in material setup, if everybody knows, there is division of labor, there is respect for one another's services. Even that, to function on that level, you need to first, chant nicely and uh, make our this thing consciousness spiritual. So naturally, now it seems all theoretical, because we have been everybody is like that on the same boat because of material education, and we've all, nobody taught anybody all these truths. From childhood you're supposed to be trained, no, and that all hasn't happened, so we are very much degraded. And that's why chanting is a powerful Hare Krishna mantra, powerful method to uplift our consciousness and to develop a service attitude to Guru and Krishna. If you feel that through chanting you develop your desire to serve Guru and Krishna, then after that, automatically you'll develop all good qualities, and then you can follow whatever, nice relationships will come as a byproduct. You will automatically become very kind and personal, and this thing, because Prabhupada said 16 rounds is to make us at least behave like a human being. Forget about Paramahamsa and all that. At least you will start behaving, you will be mindful of other people, recognizing their needs, having some empathy, which a human being should have. Now we are not behaving like human beings in society. I'm saying generally, people are like animals only. So from that state, we are trying to elevate our consciousness to human being state. Then, of course, when we make further progress, automatically material things will become much more conducive. If in a family all are chanting and progressive, or even if one person is doing something, it will have an effect on the others. They also may start following their own thing. They may not like to chant, they may do other things. Definitely, you see, a devotee, maybe in a family, he is doing quietly. The others will say, we'll also do whatever we this thing. They may not want to be a devotee, but they will follow their own thing. It will happen. So, like this, everybody will go towards the mode of goodness. All that will happen is happening also to some extent.
Yeah, thanks, Mataji. So, whenever we hear these discussions in classes or, like regarding Varnashram or regarding the gender thing, what is that we should, try to take, because
No,
re-
we should understand our fallen situation, and we should become more determined to surrender to Krishna and progress in our spiritual life, so that we will behave with consideration for other people also. We'll start behaving like kind human beings,
okay.
with a service attitude, that we'll develop that. So we need to focus on the holy name.
Uh-huh.
Pray to them. Please, make me, let me not be under Maya. That is the only solution for
Okay.
everything. So we
Oh,
can be determined that, let me develop all good qualities by surrendering to Krishna and acting selflessly for the pleasure of Krishna.
okay. So basically, to understand the human standards established by the scriptures, and
Ah,
we are kind of that comparison understanding we should carry.
yes.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mataji. Truly appreciate your answer. Thank you. And your class too. Thank you.
That was a
Hare
very
Krishna
nice
Mataji.
question.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all grace to Sri Prabhupada. It was a nice touching on the Varnashrama and duties and why it is important, and also the Paradharma and the supreme constitutional dharma of the spirit soul as a spirit soul, what we need to do. And so in this regard, and continuation from Ravi Prabhu's discussion, I also have a question. Like what we are seeing is that I mean, what you are saying is was that in somebody is not in a Krishna conscious state, or a neophyte, for for them it's important to follow varnashrama, of course, and somebody is an elevated devotee also, he or she also will be following the varnashrama with the consciousness that uh, he or she has been put into that body by Krishna's will, and accordingly he or she has to do his varnashrama dharma also, to the extent possible. I mean, to the highest extent, also while doing the Krishna conscious activities. So in that regard,
No, it is opposite. Varnashrama dharma means doing everything for Vishnu while
yes,
doing your ordinary work. Vishnu is the center, even in Varnashrama. We are
yes,
not the center. Vishnu
yes,
only is the center at Varnashrama also. Except that it is lower. That's all.
yes, correct, correct. Everything is to satisfy Vishnu. Even the women are also, she is a Pati Dev, means he is representative of Vishnu. So that way they are also getting attached to Vishnu. Yes. Um, Yes. So, in that regard, the question is why we are seeing so many divorces, even in the ISKCON community. So, if it is like if the women are, of course, very nicely at the chest, and there shouldn't be any problem for their husbands. So, I would say that the women are generally initiating this divorce um, uh, the situation. So what is the
advice, supposing as a guru or the Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru, what advice is generally given to such people who are going towards divorce?
I mean, see, we have to see each situation. We can't say I mean, first we need many counselors. Actually, most of the time now, it might be some small thing because there's nobody to counsel them and give them the higher purpose of their marriage, higher purpose of why they got married. Krishna brought them together. It's not simply, okay, small petty things. I like this, he likes that. He doesn't do this for me, that for me. That's not the purpose of marriage. So we have to explain to them. They need counselors, Grihastha counselors, to advise them even before marriage, whether it's all compatible, it's working, all that, and then during the marriage also. Because those days, in Varnashrama system, the whole joint family is there as counseling. Nobody is alone, and so they got that emotional support. There was no need of divorce because you'll always get some advice, and everybody for well in line. The men also, or the mother, the mother or mother figures, or the men, they will all advise, hey, it's okay, don't get so agitated. And the girl also will be advised by the women, no, or the parents, her parents. So this way, the marriage was protected. Nowadays, what is this? Nuclear families, nobody to advise them, counsel them, give some words of wisdom. So what happens? The minute something doesn't work, he fought with me, he beat me, he did this to me, finished. We cannot live together. They are not advised, and they don't want also advice. No, we know everything. We're all educated, we are earning a lot of money. I don't need you to tell me what to do. So that's another problem. They don't want to listen to any other figures. So at least they can take Grihastha counselors.
So why did they take the initiation then?
Initiation is just beginning. I begin to do my sadhana properly. That is all is initiation.
But that means also surrender also. Surrender to Guru also.
Yeah, but everybody is not surrendered. No, the modes, different levels of surrender are there. So the modes take over. And husband and see, that is why when they get married, they have to be told what to expect in a marriage. They don't know what to expect even. And then they go with some kind of, I don't know what kind of expectation. They become disappointed. And so then but a lot many marriages are saved through counseling. Then they get the proper perspective, then they become surrendered. See, they don't know how to apply the principles. They like Krishna consciousness, they surrendered to Krishna, they took initiation. But how do we apply principles of Krishna consciousness? The Bhakti, what is his name? Bhakti, the Maharaj, the African Maharaj who left his body.
Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj?
Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. He calls it applied technology, of this science. That we have to apply those principles in our day-to-day life. That they don't know. They're not experienced. So they need the guidance of more experienced, more mature. I mean, many years they're following. Then they have more faith and devotion in Krishna. Such people, if they guide, then they will also learn, and they will not fall because there's nobody doing all, or they're not consulting. That is the reason all these divorces happen.
Mostly they will be on the neophyte stage. So their faith may be okay. They may be swayed by the sweet tunes of the kirtan, but they didn't digest the philosophy properly. Shastra properly.
Yes. And even if you know the philosophy, application is difficult now, especially when it comes to your personal life. We're not so objective when it comes to ourselves. We can't see things in an objective. We'll say the other person only is wrong. I'm always right. So that objectivity is not there. So you need a third person who's neutral and who can guide both. Then it's very easy. You can save so many marriages. If they are devotees, it's not difficult. But that we don't have that facility to, or not many people are making avail of that.
Yeah, so the Varnashram, there is no incongruity between Varnashrama system and the Krishna consciousness. Nicely you have said that the Varnashram is a mechanism for everybody to please the Supreme Enjoyer Krishna.
Yes, Varnashrama is also for that. Yes.
Yeah.
But it is at a slower pace. That's all.
Lower pace and lower even anybody with a any consciousness can fit in. That is a perfect way of body into the.
The amount of time spent for Krishna consciousness, sadhana, and all much less. But still, whatever they do is for Vishnu only. They also have to remember Vishnu. They also have to get up early. They also have to do so many things. But this is on the fast track, Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So, if you do Krishna consciousness properly, Varnashrama is also included in that. But because Varnashrama people were able to follow because they were materially more purified. We need to first purify our material selves only first. And then even, so we just say all in theory, we chant, we do, but then when we go back to our material life, again, back to square one. So some purification is required. And that will happen if you keep on associating with devotees and we keep, then we make it in our mind that, yes, I have to surrender, I have to become a nice devotee. For devotee, and then you just pray to Krishna and he's also helping. Guru is also praying and helping. Devotees are also very merciful, helping one another. So it's not difficult if you take shelter. But if you are very proud, that is when it's very difficult.
But at the same
Mostly
time,
because of pride only all these things come.
Yeah.
Both are proud and their false egos are too much. They will not take any consultation. They will not submit. They will not be humble. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same, but at a very high level, at a pure devotee level, Varnashrama doesn't apply. That's what the Canto 11 verse says, that whoever is completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have any debt to the devatas, debt to the pitras, debt to the relatives, debt to the debt to any so people in the society, or debt to anybody, any animals. So they don't.
That may be. They may be. See, consciousness wives, they may be only thinking of Krishna. They don't need to do all this. But still, externally, they follow the rules.
Yes.
Like Yudhishthir Maharaj. He was following what a Kshatriya, what are the duties of a son or a disciple or a king, or like that. He was following everything properly. They were all following. Pure devotees also follow Varnashrama externally. They don't need to, but to set an example, Krishna says, you follow.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that is correct. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. It's all the loose ends of the logic and philosophy got tied very nicely. Thank you, Mataji, for your nice answers.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Madanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Thank you so much for the wonderful class and wonderful question answers. So Mataji, one of the lines in verse 75 you read at the end, that the ladies were were scared of going to the place where they bury or burn their husband, right?
Mm,
I'm just going to go back to the book 1 minute. It
yeah.
says that apparently the queens did not want to deliver the dead body for burning because they were afraid of dying with the dead body of their husbands. So is this one of the reasons why generally we hear that only the men go for the cremation and ladies don't go? And of course Prabhupada mentions so many times that ladies intelligence is less, that's why they have to be always they can be swayed emotionally and other ways, and they have to be protected by the father and husband, son-in-law, whoever is there in their life as a male figure. So and of course repeatedly it's mentioned that. So this is when we're reading this, we're feeling, I mean, obviously this doesn't happen, that the queen did not this thing because they were afraid, they were scared, that they were afraid of dying with the dead body of their husband. And one point was very nice, what you read was that Kunti Maharani, it reminded me from some lectures maybe I heard here, or Srila Prabhupada's lecture, that because she did not she had some duties because her husband was not there, so she didn't go ahead and die because of her husband died. So and several times we see among devotees also, and many other non-devotees also, there are several mothers whose husband pass away, and the mothers stay unmarried and they take care of the children. So because attachment of mother is more to the children because of the birth factor, then attachment which uh, generally men will have, because men will sometimes remarry also and have many wives and things like that. So so like normally they say that the burning of the body is done by the male, could be a son, or like that. So is it, this was the main reason, or why the difference was there? Did it come because of what we're reading in the Bhagavatam?
See, there are many reasons. One is the crematory place is not a good place to go to, because when a person leaves his body and then the soul is this thing, there are also many other souls, in the crematorium, lurking, those who have given up their bodies and have not got their bodies yet, or ghostly beings. They're also there. And when they want very much to enter some body, so when people come and, they are like, if your mind is a little distracted and a little not very strong, then they'll try to enter. That's another danger. So it is not a nice place to go to, actually. That's why they just go there, do the thing, and come away. That is another protection. And another thing is, women will become very emotional also, to see that. That is another thing, to so that they don't have to endure that, because they're more emotional, and also to protect them from all these ghostly beings there.
So Mataji, but one thing is cremation place, but the other thing is when there is a place you go and just burn that one body, your husband's body, or whoever you're related to. So there only that body is there. I mean, that time it's not like a cremation ground, so to say.
No, when some soul has left the body, the other souls, who are hovering like ghosts, they are
Mm.
attracted to come there, because they
Even if the
know
body is getting burnt, then also.
body is only getting burnt, but the soul is there, Atma. That is
But
still
Mataji,
there.
the soul. Yeah, but the soul, there's Atma Paramatma, we know, right? We try to make connection of Atma Paramatma inside of us also. Super
Yeah.
soul, what Bhagavad Gita we read. So what
Mm.
I heard is once the super soul, goes away, then the soul also is magnetically attached to the super soul. That also goes away.
No, super soul goes wherever the soul goes. The soul following the super soul is when he becomes a devotee. Before he becomes a pure devotee, super soul goes wherever the soul wants to go. So if the soul is still attached to the mind and everything, and to the body, and to the people, he is just left. So it doesn't immediately go away. That's why 13 days one does all the reading of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagvatam, and then they do also, some homas, and keep on reciting all this, so that the soul, by listening to all that, becomes detached and agrees to go. Paramatma goes with him wherever, then to the next body. Paramatma goes with the body, but the body only goes according to his desires and karma. Paramatma simply follows him. Paramatma is not leading him. Paramatma leads only when he finally surrenders to the Paramatma and says, please make me your devotee. I want to go back to you. Till then, the soul only is deciding where it wants to go, and Paramatma facilitates it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm always confused in this because there is Atma, Paramatma, and and we hear in the Bhagavad Gita that the blood is rushing in the body, the Atma is very active, all these things is happening. That's why we are doing activity, and all those things are happening. But then when suddenly you say you have a heart attack or some situation comes up, cardiac arrest or some brain, like stroke or something, and the person is in coma and the doctor is saying, okay, we are the person is completely on the outside air and food and this and that. The moment they plug it out, he's gone. Basically he's lying there with the support of the different machines they put, life support, so to say. So when all this is happening, the Atma Paramatma is there, and when suddenly they plug out the thing, and the person is lying dead there, then doesn't the Atma Paramatma immediately leave?
It leaves, but the soul is still hovering around the body. It is attached.
So the that is the Atma. What about the Paramatma?
Paramatma is simply going with the Atma. Wherever he goes, he goes. He is not directing him.
Okay,
Yeah, it is the soul which is deciding where it wants to go.
I was thinking the other
Soul
way
is
around.
attached to the soul is attached to the material body. Paramatma is also going with the soul.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's why they say that Krishna accompanies the living being. Again, Bhagavad Gita, even in the worm, everywhere Krishna is accompanying, in spite of our
He is accompanying as
desires, not.
simply he is
Uh, yes,
ah,
Mataji.
he is not doing he is not getting involved. It is he is just watching, and he is the overseer, supervisor, and he is the one who allows whatever we may desire anything, and he is the one who is permitting all those. So he is just neutral. He's just watching. That's all. He's not interfering. Only when we surrender to him and say, please, now you take charge of me, then immediately he becomes very active. Otherwise, we don't want him. It's like, the children say, no, I'll manage on my own, okay? You don't advise me. Then parents have to shut up and keep quiet and just watch. Then only when the child is, no, no, now I'm in trouble, please help me. Then the parents become, it's like that. We don't want Paramatma to
Yeah,
interfere with us.
yeah, like Krishna is like a father, so that kind of a thing is there. Okay, Mataji.
Yes.
So that's why you said Homa, one word you used, Homa they do. What is that?
What, Homa?
You said that 13 days, when the
Yeah.
Atma
That
is
is,
hovering around, devotees do kirtan, read Bhagavad Gita, and you said Homa.
yes. No, no, that is the standard thing. Na? We do Bhagavad Gita, and that is enough. But the standard
Yeah.
method is every day they do some little homa, then they will offer some pinda to the soul, all that they do.
Oh, it's like rituals, some rituals.
Yeah, rituals for the soul. I mean, that is also
Okay.
for Vishnu only.
Yeah.
They actually chant some mantras, and then they do some food which then they offer it to the soul, like that. They do that. Whereas devotees do kirtan in Bhagavad Gita and can offer. We do Vaishnav Seva. Once only we do.
Yes.
We don't do
Mataji,
all the and the
yeah. Yes. So, like Partha Prabhu was saying, a lot of divorces are there. I just want to add one point that Srila Prabhupada mentions that, the Matajis should be housewives, should not be working, should be dependent in serving the husband. Cleaning and cooking is their prime duty. So, if, ladies are going to get independent financially and they become like, as if they are the one who are running the home, then pretty much all these things start off, you know and if the husband is earning enough, and they have a house, they can eat, they can donate some to the temple, they have enough to keep as a balance for saving in accidental or medical sometimes, when comes, then they don't really need to work and just accumulate so much of money and ego, and and then think that finally they don't like this and that about the husband. So I think that's very important, because recently I came across one of my mother made friends with a family, and it's a Muslim family, and both the Mataji has two sons. Both the sons are doctor, and one of the daughter-in-law is also a doctor. But both the boys, said that we don't want a working wife. So we often hear this, because yeah, and in fact, one daughter-in-law is working, is a doctor, other one is not. But both of them said that we don't want, and of course they have small kids right now. That's another thing. But they just don't want that, because, like, some values come in the family where people know that once they become independent, then, things will be like not so good. And also several families I've seen where the Matajis are working, the ladies, they're working, they don't care, your husband is cooking on his own, they're cooking on their own, they're not concerned. And like you mentioned in your class, that the when we serve the husband, it is to our benefit. I really like that line. And even if, say, the husband doesn't like, you know uh, whatever, we don't make good okra, or we don't make what, they want from their style, what, their mothers have fed them, or the sisters have fed them, because the cooking is different, wife cooking is different from what they have eaten, a certain sabji or dal, in a particular way, because every family, cooks and all differently. But still, I want you to elaborate more on the point that, whether the husband appreciates or does not appreciate the very fact that we, serve the husband. How do we benefit in that?
Yeah, that see, we are making spiritual progress. It's our duty to do it. You do it for pleasing Krishna unconditionally. Then we'll make big spiritual progress. Detachment will come, and attachment to Krishna will come, and we'll become not upset, not dependent on all these external stimuli for doing work. I'll do it. I'll do it. I mean, even whether somebody appreciates me or is being nice to me or not, I will surrender and serve Krishna. I'm doing it for that purpose. Then we will get spiritual progress. If you're looking for spiritual progress, then you will tolerate and do it for Krishna. But if you want material happiness first, then they will be disturbed. And then we need to also, of course, we don't just tell, oh, husband, even, I mean, especially if he's a devotee husband and he's very abusive and bashes up the wife and she just quietly, we don't tell, okay, you do your Sri Dharma, you'll go back to God. And not that. We have to also protect her and save her. All that we have to do, we have to also talk to the husband that is there. We have to
Yeah, how
try
much she will
that.
tolerate, right, Mataji? How much she will tolerate also. It'll affect her bhakti. If,
No, it is
it's
not
like
fair. If there is, we have to be just. We can't tell you do your Sri Dharma and there is no Purush Dharma. There is Purush Dharma also.
yes,
So we have to see both.
yes, Mataji. But sometimes, what happens in the Indian community, in our Indian, we all Indian bodied people, because the husband is earning, and he's supporting. So a lot of Matajis, I will say, including myself, they will tolerate a lot of things about the husband because, they feel कि at least वो जाते हैं धूप में, बाहर भी जाना पड़ता है, पैसे कमाते हैं. So it doesn't matter if, I'm not saying to the extent like you're saying that he's beating up and all, but, he has his temperaments and other things and his ego and all those things are there. So, it's basically, we have to have that toleration level because, we know that otherwise we would have to do that, go out and earn and all, so some credit has to be given that way. But
that is said in the Shastras that the wife should be very forgiving, tolerant, not make minor faults of the husband very big, and
yes,
she should tolerate and forgive. Yeah, that is there.
But if it is the other way around, then there is counseling system should be there because, sometimes हम लोग ऐसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना कि हाँ हमें तो सीता बनना चाहिए, but then husband भी तो राम की तरह होने चाहिए.
No, that's what both have to be counseled. It can't be one-sided, especially if they're devotees. If you counsel both, then only you can. See, that requires a great, you have to, everyone cannot be Sita or Sukanya. Sukanya in the 8th canto, the Chavana Muni, he was very crotchety and irritable and all that, and still she put up. That is very elevated ladies. So in today's world, you have to be practical. You have to tell the husband also, isn't it? And only see, wife cannot advise a husband.
Where is the story about this thing? Like, I would like to read about it. The Sukuni,
that's in
that
the 8th canto.
this is for now, Mataji, 8th canto. I'm like not a big time reader, but like the other day, one Prabhuji told me about this enviousness. There are these chapters. Then I was able to read that portion, and I was happy reading Bhagvatam about enviousness, 3 types of enviousness. So, is there any particular thing you can find out and send me? Because you are more attuned to literature, Mataji, than I would not be able to find.
See,
but I would like to read. I would like to read.
8th canto, you read about Sukanya's life. And then Karadama and Devahuti, you have already gone through now in the 3rd canto.
Yeah. But Mataji, 8th canto is so big. Like, where in 8th canto?
No, this is in the beginning only. After one of this thing, then Sukanya, it is there. It's a short chapter only.
Like when the 8th chapter starts. Okay, I will just see the heading of the chapter.
You see the index,
8th canto,
no?
Okay, okay, that's the way to go. Okay. Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the class today, because you always give us like we get an overview of Krishna consciousness, and there are so many things we have to keep recollecting, and that summary you give us, even if it is not very much connected to the words, but it is so much helpful because then otherwise we just confined to reading that portion and reading the front purports and the back purports, because even if yesterday we read, today I had totally forgotten in what context this is being spoken. So then before the class started, I went and read I went backwards reading the purports, and then I was going forward because that's so kind of you to read that. And then I was trying to make sense. Okay, now these ladies, they're doing this and that, and how even the person Harinakshi, he had so much of Vedic knowledge, but it's just that because he was not favorable, he was not serving Krishna, Vishnu. That's why he was not doing devotional service. He didn't have that mood to serve. So service is so important to serve Krishna, and otherwise these demons are also very, very great people. But thank you so much, Mataji, for today's class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Okay. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Raj ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo eva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, हर ग्रेस प्रेमा पद्मिनी माताजी की जय. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you.